There's one market for me, there's one market for you too. And I'm not before we collect money for all these market people. Every day now they say only 2 times a week. There's one market for you, there's one market for you. And you know, let's say for these people now. And no, you don't have to end it. So that's all you have. That's all you have. End up with your mouth. Blah, blah, blah. Still, no money. I need money. My body needs money. Do something about it for future issue. Or do something this huh? Okay? I told you alone. I'm going to take this. But I'm looking for more. See, anyone for the money, market thing, or for this house. Yeah, any moment for the money, market things for this house. Yeah, it's a local. What think about? Once you go to work today, my bed does bring me some. My body, okay, understand. You know the people, you bring this up. I think that's not funny. These boundaries.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to today's class on farm food safety, as organized by GSAI, that is Growth for Sustainable Agriculture Initiative. And it's interesting. Today's class is interesting because you would find out that today's topic is something that has been mentioned by almost all the facilitators in their different classes. The word traceability has always been a reoccurring factor. Every facilitator has been talking about traceability, traceability, traceability. And today we are going to be talking about the concept of traceability in food safety. So welcome to class 11 of the farm food safety, the virtual farm food safety project training. As you all know, this is the first component of our 2025 World Food Safety Commemoration Project, where we are carrying out 3 activities to commemorate the World Food Safety Day. The World Food Safety Day was actually on the 7th of June, but the whole of June is the Food Safety Month, and we are carrying out 3 projects. The first is the virtual training that you're part of, and of course, we are having the excursion, the food safety excursion that we are also going to be carrying out at CSS Farms in Abuja. Please confirm that you can hear me. Confirm that you can hear me, please. Okay. All right. So yes. So this project is in side by side with the excursion that will be carrying the food safety field day and farm tour. We'll be touring 100 hectares of automated and innovative farm, the CSS farms along Abuja Kefi Express. And yes, so many of us have been asking, what about those of us outside Abuja? Yes, the tour is a physical tour. There is no online option, and we really wish you can come on board. But we have some financial, of course, the tour is not free because we have to pay the access fee, we have to pay logistics and all of that. But if you're really interested in participating, you can chat up the project officers for the food safety field day and farm tour. You can chat up the project officers, and they will find a way to accommodate those of you that are outside Abuja. It's going to be a very, very interesting field tour because we are going to be seeing practical agribusiness in real life, in practicality, how it is being done, profitability. You're going to see the next level of agriculture. And then finally, to cap up this World Food Safety Commemoration Project, we are also going to be carrying out the Nigerian Farmers Town Hall Summit in Abuja. This Town Hall Summit is going to bring in farmers together, and we are going to be doing the food safety pledge. We are going to be launching the food safety manual, and we are going to be having a whole lot of conversations, bringing in stakeholders to talk about how we can improve food safety in Nigeria. Food safety is a big deal, and it's important that we begin to talk about it. We begin to help our farmers understand the reason, the necessity to carry out certain practices so as to improve the yield and the quality of their produce. Let me not go too far, as I am not the moderator for today, or as I'm not the facilitator for today. But we have our facilitator in the house, and I will just hand over immediately to him so that he can start. I had promised him that we're going to be starting exactly on time. So without further ado, we're going to be welcoming our facilitator for today, Mr. Sahid Adams, who is the co-founder at Eweko Integrated Services. And he will just be taking some time before he starts his lecture to also give us more insights as to what he does and what he does as per agriculture. Mr. Sahid Adams, welcome to the mic. Please unmute yourself and then take it from here. Thank you very much, Mr. Sahid Adams.
Thank you so much, Mr. Danobak. My name is Sahid Adams. Let me see if I can get my video on. All right, can you confirm that you can see my video?
Yes, we can see your video. We can see your very handsome face, although it's a bit cloudy. It's a bit cloudy,
Oh,
but
okay.
yes, we can see. I think the
Okay, I'll be
lights,
happy to.
you're directly behind the lights.
Uh, Not too far from the light. Do I think I will just adjust that much later. Let me just
Okay.
yes, I'll sort that out. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel. Back. My name is Saeed Adams. Okay, this is you sharing the screen, right? Okay.
Yes. Or
Right, please
you would
can you help me put?
preferably share from your ends?
No, you can go ahead. But I'd like to have a bit of control because there are some flow that I've attached to it. Let me share from my end. Let me share from my
Okay.
end.
So yeah, Mr. Gabriel, you can stop sharing. Let the facilitator share from his ends.
Okay. Right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. Wait, let me put it. All right. Great. My name is Said Adams. I am the MD CEO at Ewico Integrated Services. And what we do at Ewico is that we blend aggregation and agribusiness support. So it seems my screen is flickering. Okay, I think it's stable now. Um, I think the can I request that the coordinator share the screen? My screen is flickering. I've noticed that I think last week or so. I thought I had fixed it. Let me return the screen share back to you. All right, please go
Okay.
ahead and
Yeah, Gabriel, please share your screen. Please share the material.
all right. So as I was saying, my name is Said Adams, MD at Toyoko Integrated Services. We blend aggregation and then also agribusiness support services, working with farmers and value chain actors within different value chains, but particularly horticulture. That's fruits and vegetables. But again, the concept that I'm going to be talking about today, encompasses food generally, horticulture, crop, livestock. Yes, it's the same concept for different maybe elements that are considered during when you are putting some things together. Um, Today, we are going to be having conversation around the concept of traceability so that you understand. I have gone through some of the materials that, some of the trainings that you have had before, and I am super excited that this is coming now, where the focus is more on the farmer side, training the farmers to let them understand the implications or yeah, the implications of their actions or inactions in certain areas. Farmers are very powerful people. I would even dare say more powerful than the doctors because it is the farmers that provide the food. If the food is poisoned, the entire population is not okay. But if the food contains the required nutrients and also is safe to eat, there will be less visitation to the hospital. What you might just go to the hospital to do is just routine checkups, not curing cancer all of the time or treating kidney diseases or liver function problems that come across as a result of the inadequacies at the farm level. A lot of people don't pay attention to that, but most of the time that is where problem comes from. So I'm happy that GSAI is putting all of this together to ensure that the farmers understand the concept, understand their role as well in the whole value chain and how important they are. Or let me rephrase that, how important we are, because I am also a farmer myself. I grow tomatoes, sweet corn, pepper as well, while I also work with my other fellow farmers and value chain actors to ensure the supply chain is consistent. So please next slide. Can you put it in presentation mode? I'm happy to be here with all of you today. Please, again, this conversation is, I don't want to call it training per se. Some of these things you already know. It's just, we are just exchanging ideas, sharing experience, and learning from each other. All right. Can you put it in full slideshow mode? Is it possible? All right, fantastic. I love that. So I'm sure quite a number of you has come across this picture where it has happened to me several times, and I'm sure it has happened to quite a number of you, where you have running stomach, you just finished a meal of a bar, or you finished a meal, particularly fresh produce. Let's say you take fruits bought from off the shelf, maybe this malam's moving around, or you even go to a supermarket, you buy something, you eat fresh, and then just 30 minutes later, you now start having, you know, cramps. Your stomach hurts. Oftentimes this is as a result of food poisoning. Food poisoning, not directly that they put something inside the food, but as a result of many activities that were left unchecked. Hygiene issues, which I'm sure has been taken care of in terms of training in previous slides. So the inaction or leaving out some critical activities within that value chain can lead to serious this type of problem. And stats show that at least in Nigeria, over 50 people dead that has been recorded. It's actually more than that. Some people, they have this, but they won't go to the hospital to let the people know that, okay, this is what has actually happened. So recorded cases from food poisoning in Nigeria in 2024 alone was a staggering 50 deaths. I am 100% sure it's more than that. And majority of these things come from the risk, I would say, inappropriate cooling or eating, improper cooling, and then also, hygiene issues, and then unsafe source. Please press the next button. Next. Can I be sure that we are following each other? Just let me know on the chat that yes, you can hear me and you are flowing with the conversation. Just put a yes on the chat. No, no. A slide, just click on next. Before, there's something, yes. You are missing a particular diagram that I want to show to the audience. Just tap, click your mouse. No. Let me see. I think I should be able to have control. Let me see. Yes. Okay, fantastic. This is what I wanted you to see. So you see this maze. This is what the value chain for horticulture actually looks like. How the produce moves from one point to another, the maze, the complexity. Now you see this issue. How are you able to trace back to where the problem might be? You see everything leading to the consumer side. Within all of these things, produce are aggregated, taken to the market, from the market, taken to the wholesaler, from the wholesaler to the retailer, from the retailer down to, street sellers, and then the consumer goes in and buy, or even the consumer goes directly to the market and buys from the market. But then when you have such issues, I am 100% sure none of us would ever consider that, okay, let me trace back to where I bought this item to find out, okay, what happened. Even if you did, there is no absolute way that you can know what had happened on the field or how it even got to the marketplace in the first instance. So this is what the concept of traceability, talks about. We will have a deeper conversation. This is just to, get you connected to the conversation that, okay, this is the reality of what we actually want to do. Please, next slide. So the objectives of today's meeting, or sorry, today's conversation is that we want to be able to understand the concept of traceability. And then also there's this idea of tracing and tracking. What does it mean? There's the direction, forward, what do you call it now? Downstream and upstream. I'm sure you'll be hearing that very often, especially in the petroleum industry. We also have it in the agri industry as well. Then we want to describe the purpose of traceability. Why do we want to have it? Why are we having it? Why is it important? And then the four key points of traceability system. To be able to do this next, just we will treat this in just about three topics: the definition and the importance, and then we talk about developing the traceability system itself, and then briefly touch on tools, and not so much on technology for farm traceability. In the next class, we will talk about records. That will speak a lot to what we are supposed to do in practical terms. So traceability is the ability to trace the history, application, use, and location of an item or its characteristics through the recorded identification data. I emphasize on those three last words: recorded identification data. So you are looking for something. How do you get to a point where you know where it is and you move back to the origin and even deeper into what happened at the farm level? Now, you may have heard of cases of mad cow diseases, especially in the European countries. They have a system that can trace back from whatever source to the farmer, be it livestock or crop, because within that agricultural space, you have to have information on what you are taking to the market, especially if it's an organized market. I am very optimistic about something in Nigeria. We are getting to a point where there is focus on food safety. Quite a number of people are now becoming more aware of what they eat. They want to know, whenever it is possible or wherever it is possible, where their food is coming from. This has been happening globally. Now, more so, within the African context, I know quite a number of us may not, pay attention to it, but the recent trend, and we are with the advent of, social media and all of those things, people are getting more interested. They don't want to know where their food is coming from. So it's a challenge. At the same time, it's an opportunity. If, as farmers, as value chain actors within the space, we're able to prepare ourselves to serve or have this as a niche in our own market, or in our own production, to provide records that indicate that this is what our production is like and our own food is safe. So again, back to the concept of traceability. It's a tool intended to enable tracking of product, as we said, throughout a production and distribution chain. The process could be based on, for different value chains, it could be different, but essentially some of these key things are important. The identification of the people that are involved within the supply chain, the product identification itself, and then the logistics. How is it moving from point A to point B? What is used to carry it from point A to point B? And then the flow of information and data exchange. This is where technology really comes in place. I think we'll be having more of that conversation towards the end of the module. But so far, are we flowing together? Do you understand as the conversation is going? Please let me know on the chat. Are we together? Fantastic. Thank you very much, Juliet. So, again, there are two components to traceability. You have the tracking, which I know majority of you are very familiar with, and then we also have the tracing. The tracking simply allows you to understand where an item is at a particular point in time of referencing it. A very good example is your Google Map. You are in a place you want to get from point A to point B. You click on Google Map, sorry, you open the app. It asks you where your location is. If you don't understand, if you can't pinpoint it, you enable GPS tracking on your phone, and then voila, it tells you, okay, this is exactly where you are. That's tracking. You're able to know where you are, and at that time in point. So it answers the questions where and when. In the moving this back to food, I know we don't have so much of that system set in place, but again, I say this is another opportunity, or this is an opportunity for us to really start looking at as value chain actors, where and when, and then more or less deals with uh, the tracking of an entity through its final destination. Now, uh, has any of you heard of the term recall or withdraw? Please put on the chat. Recall or withdraw, or both. Okay, Daniel says no. Um, any other person familiar with the term? Okay, Juliet, yes. Okay, good. Ayo, Francis, both fantastic. So, recall majorly is used in, which may have been heard, let me put it that way, in industries like telecommunications, that's a mobile phone operators, sorry, mobile phone producers, and then maybe cars. In recent times, we've heard the likes of Toyota, those big companies, recall a particular model because it has some issues that may be hazardous. It could be maybe during the production line, something was missed, and if those elements or that particular element is not there, it actually bears a huge risk to the driver. In that case, this a total recall may be done for that product. It also happens in agricultural industry, particularly processing, especially in the abroad. I'm trying to remember, has there been any case in Nigeria? I think there was one time, but I don't really remember. Withdrawal is the same concept, but then for the withdrawal component of it, they don't focus so much on returning the equipment or the product. Is just pushing out information as warning to you that, okay, yes, we acknowledge that there's a defect in this device or product. Please be careful as you use it. Follow this procedure to ensure that you are safe. So it's basically just pushing out information on the state of a product or an item that is already in the market. In advanced country where there are stringent laws, there are principles that are guiding this, and there are processes that you have to go through to, do this recall or withdrawal. We are hoping that someday in the Nigerian food system, we are going to get to that point where we use these instruments to actually safeguard ourselves. Now, tracing is the same concept, but this time around, it's from the origin. Like, let's say, for instance, what's happening at the production level. You're able to understand let's say, agrochemicals that are being used at a point in time during the production, possibly what is happening between point A to point B when the produce is moving from the farm to the warehouse, for instance. Now, there are certain procedures that needs to take place. When you are tracing, you want to find out what happened or what is happening at each point of the movement, either downward or upward. You want to be able to identify And oftentimes it answers the questions. Let's the next button. What? No, no. One slide. Slide back. Yes. It answers the questions what, how, whom, why, um, what happened at this particular point in time, who was in charge of this particular thing at this particular time, and why did this happen at this time? Was this procedure followed or not? If it was followed, we're expected to get this result, but we are not getting this result. It's very interrogative. You want to deep down, find what actually happened at those processes. So you have the tracking, as I said, and you have the tracing. The tracking is, again, knowing where the item is at a particular time. Not really bothered about what happened or what is happening, but where is it? That's the question that tracking answers. While tracing goes in deep to ask about processes that were supposed to have been done, may not have been done. And that's where investigation really comes. Now again, there's another component, or there's another a part comes in play, and this is the direction. I mentioned earlier, you hear something like upstream, downstream. These are the terms that we normally hear when we are talking about petroleum. Upstream actors, downstream marketers, and these different terms that comes in. We have the same concept when it comes to the food supply chain. When we talk about downstream, or in reference now, talking about downstream traceability, what it just simply means that you are taking the consideration right from the you are concerned at the top about the destination. I don't know if this makes sense. You are on the farm, um, you are labeling your product, you are putting some codes in it. Meanwhile, where it is going to, you already know. So this often happens when we talk about pack houses or warehouses, where right from the farm to the warehouse and onto the let's say um, these companies that make use of raw materials. They understand how the movement is. So that direction is considered downstream. Make it possible to find destination of a lot or product unit at every step of the product cycle, moving down from the farm to the logistics to the pack house. In the case of exports, the ship, then from the ship docking at the other warehouse, let's say in Europe, for instance, and then getting to the retailer, the wholesalers, and then the retailers. This is the direction you are tracing or tracking, is indicative of this. Now, the upstream is you're already at the source. Sorry, you're already at the destination. You want to find out what's happening history-wise. So you now begin to move upward from the point where you, let's say it's a processing firm, for instance, now. From that point where you receive the material, you want to be able to understand what happened at the farm level. So you are moving your tracking or your traceability upward in the chain to find out what is happening. Then again, it depends on where you are. You can be at the center. If you're a processing firm, for instance, or a pack house where, primary sorting and grading is done, you can be in the middle and be referencing upstream when you're talking to your farmers, and referencing downstream when you yes, downstream when you are talking about your farmers, and then upstream when you are talking about where you are sending the produce to. Do you understand the flow? Are we together? Just let me know on the chat. All right. Thank you, Mr. Adeyemi. So this is also another concept to consider talking about traceability. So um, now the interesting thing is, or the interesting question, and I want this to be interactive now. I want someone, or maybe one or two persons, to unmute and speak. Um, why would one want to? Oh, sorry. Paul says it's a bit technical. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Just focus on the direction. Upstream, downstream, that's all. One is for origin, the other one is for destination. Don't let me complicate matters for you. Okay, and also focus on the diagram, flowing from the farm to the point where it gets to the retail is, moving downstream. But if it's already at the point where you have retail or consumption, then you are moving upward. That talks about upstream. You are going upstream to find out what is happening at the origin. I think that should be simple enough. Downstream, you are moving from the farm to the retail. Upstream, you are moving from the retail or the point where the item is being sold upwards to what's happening at the farm level. Okay, thanks. So again, I was asking the question, why do you think a business, a company, a farm would be interested in traceability? I want to hear your voice. Maybe one or two persons can unmute and speak so I know we are together. Yeah, moderator, please can you maybe just speak?
Yes, so those that want to speak can raise their hands and we'll unmute them. They cannot unmute on their own.
Okay, okay. So just click on the next slide, slightly. So anyone want to try out? Why will you want to take on traceability? It's important to trace to allow knowledge of movement of goods to their consumer. Good. Yes, Mary. Yes, Mr. Adeyemo is raising his hand.
Mr.
Yeah,
Deyomo,
good. I'm a female. My name is Adeyemi Fatima.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Adeyemi Fatima, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
So, to my own understanding, so from your definition, you said traceability is the ability to trace history, location of an item or characteristics. This one has to do with like record keeping. So if a farm, so your question is, why do we think a farm will be interested in traceability? So to my own understanding, since it has to do with record keeping, it will help it will avoid risk. It will help the farm to manage risk properly. I don't know if I'm getting it.
Yes,
Especially
you are.
when it has to do with exporting. Traceability is like a mandatory requirement for every farm. Like if you want to transport from Nigeria to a country like US, Japan, you will need like some certificates. There are some standards that you have to be up to. And if there is traceability, there will be trust. Since if they check
Fantastic.
your record, are you getting Are you
Yes,
getting my
yes,
point? So if they check
yes,
your
I
record, if
am.
they see that okay, this record is still up to standard, there will be trust that okay, this person is not going to give the nation poison, since you made mention of food poisoning the other time. So
Thank
that's
you so much, Fatima. Thank you so much. You've actually touched on about three of the approaches. I won't mention them now. Let me give the floor. Thank you so much. Let me give the floor to, let's say, Juliet. I see Juliet raising up her
okay.
hand. And after
Okay.
Juliet, just one more person so that we can quickly move on to the next item.
Okay, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Juliet. Yes. Thank you, Fatima. So, Juliet,
Juliet has been called, but I was asked to unmute. I don't know if I can go ahead.
please go ahead, Mary. Please go ahead.
Okay. So
Okay.
I also think that being able to trace your produce is very important. Once, if you're able to communicate with your customer, okay, at this point our good is here, they get to feel that okay, they are carried along in the process. So if there's any glitch on the road, they know okay, I was carried along. This is where the produce is, and also for the farm as well. If you can follow up the movement of your goods, you can know at what point is it do I always have issues with my produce. You can also know how do I cut off this movement channel. If this is not serving again, what do I do? But when you are just in oblivion, you don't know what's happening to your produce. You may not be able to really know how your produce move from your farm to the end user, and it may cause issues when customers start complaining that your produce is taking long to deliver. But once you're able to know your movement, you can be able to know okay, where do I have some delays? Where can I take them off, and all that can be factored in. You can know how to easily get your produce to your customers in a very safe means.
All right. Thank you so much, Mary. You have again also touched on maybe, let me see, about three items or three approaches that I'm going to mention. Let me give room to one more person, but this time around a male. I also want to play the gender balance card. A male this time around. Thank you. I am a he for she, oh, but then again, I also have to look out for my people. Yes, email this time around. I see Mr. Daniel Paul. Yes, moderator, can you give him a chance or any other person? Let me hear from the male folk.
Yeah, Daniel, you've been asked to unmute. Unmute.
Yeah, please. Thank you, and Daniel Kanta. It is very important. In fact, it is a key to success when it comes to exportation. For some of us that have been working with the Nigerian Export Promotion Councils, you see, when you trace your goods have a record, this recording helps even the customers to be transparent in your dealing, and they build confidence and trust, because a lot of people are afraid over outside there because of they knew about Nigeria sometime that we, sorry to say this, we maneuver things. So with good proper recording, traceability, most time it come with the scan code, QR code, or with the trademark. It will help one to know, oh, it has been done in social place. Some other time we learn in this lecture that we have to restart or get involved in some organization to get certification. This also keep us a room for our own produce, be it the farm produce, to be traceable, and people will rely on it. So reliability, trust comes in when our goods are being traceable. So it is more important, as well as we are also want to make money, because that will help us to be excelling, and then people now become to be trusting us. Then we now go more with them. With no trust, we cannot flow. So traceability is very important in this aspect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel. I just feel like I should just pack my bag now and just go. This lecture is almost over. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. And I can see that you are really following the flow from the previous class. Mr. Daniel mentioned that they have talked a lot about traceability, and I can see that already it is being, you guys, the importance. Thank you. I would like to take more questions, but then because of time, I just need to proceed to the next item. So again, I'm just going to summarize everything you have said now in four key points or approaches. So next slide, or next, please just. So you have the customer approach, the food safety approach, the regulations approach, and then the customer management approach. I will break all of these things down shortly, but it already speaks to everything that you have all mentioned. So it's just me going into the next slide and just breaking it down. So please, the next slide. So the customer approach simply means, this is something that you need to do to prove that the product matches the customer's requirement. And oftentimes, this request comes from the customer that, yes, I want to know what is happening at this point in time as my goods or as my items are moving from point one to point two. And oftentimes, as Mr. Daniel has said and others, that when it comes to export, this is actually sacrosanct. It has to be put in place. But I also want to say at this point, and I want all of you to carry this along, what is good for the goose is also good for the gander, as they usually say. Now, export, yes, but we also want in Nigeria food safety. Customers may not be demanding for it now as much, but then even within the context of the local markets that we service, we also want to be able to have good food, safe food. So even for your local market, it's something that it takes almost the same effort. And even for you as the producer, it's best you put things in place at your own side to ensure that you have information at least flowing from your internal processes to a point where you now hand it over to the next person. I'm sure as we are developing in the food sector, particularly production, all of these things will come to place. Then there's also the general food safety approach, which is what you've been taught, right from, I think, a beginning of May or sometime mid-May, where the general focus is on food safety. And this actually is the responsibility of everyone that is involved in the value chain: the processor, the farmer, the logistics person, the retailer. They are very, very particular about this. And that industry actually drives that process. You will see this happening a lot in food and, sorry, in the, what do you call it now? In the health industry, because of the sensitivity that is involved in that industry. Where's my slide gone to? Okay, moderator, my slide has disappeared. Hello, I can't see my slide anymore. Okay, so while he's trying to bring that out, let me just continue. So the industry actually drive that process that we must have food safety in place, and everyone in that value chain is involved in ensuring that, okay, the traceability is put in place right from the farm. It moves to the aggregator or it moves to the pack house. They have their own traceability system, which must connect to the traceability system at the farm level. And from the pack house, the traceability system in the pack house must connect to the traceability system in the distribution center if the pack house is not an aggregation center. So it just goes on like that. So everyone within that value chain is responsible for the food safety. Then there is, I see Mr. Kletus reason is, and is this from the previous, or you have a question you want to ask? Okay. So now the third component has to do with regulation. And this is where I feel sometimes we are missing it in Nigeria. Okay. Hello, Mr. Justice. You want to say something? Ask a question. Yes, you are raising your hand. Go ahead. Okay. Question is allowed only at the end, sir. Okay, no problem. So I will carry on. My slide has disappeared, though. Moderator, please can you bring it back on? Or let me bring let me share mine and then okay. Uh, I think I can still manage. Okay. Okay, so we've talked about the food safety approach, where the responsibility is on all parties that are involved, and this is usually triggered by the industry. We are hoping that at some point in time we will get to that point in the agri space where everyone takes ownership of food safety. Now, the third part is the regulation. This is the law. This is as stipulated in the law that, okay, well, certain things must be put in place to be able to achieve food safety. There's what we call the international standards. These international standards oftentimes are used when it comes to trade. And there are some organizations, or sorry, some companies, sorry, some nations like Europe, US, that have their own specific standard, which is drawn from, let's say, ISO standards, which is private, and then general government standard, which is drawn from Codex Alimentarius. This is a combination of the World Health Organization and FAO coming together to come up with draft of frameworks around standards that speaks to food safety. So in Nigeria, we have organizations like NAFDAC, SON, NAQS when it comes to exports, that are the regulatory authorities. But oftentimes what I see, NAFDAC focus on is already the processed item. We are looking at a situation where, even at the farm level, something would also be done before it gets to the point of processing into raw material. So NAFDAC, at least currently is trying when it comes to processing, and they also have some guidelines when it comes to what the components or what the processes should be at the farm level, or should be when you are sourcing your raw materials. So these are organizations that are responsible for quality control around food in Nigeria: NAFDAC, SON, and NAQS. Of course, there are other associations like poultry associations, um, um, yeah, and other relevant associations that also kind of like have, I won't say regulation, but rules that guide them in their production as well. So, okay, these are just the example. Then you now have the fourth component, which is the company management. What this means is some companies, it could be a farm, it could be a package processing farm, it could also be an aggregation center of some sort, where they have it as their unique or their vision to ensure that food safety, which includes traceability, is their USP. This is what we have at the organization that I work for. That's Iwiko Integrated. Is actually entrenched in our mission and vision to ensure that there's food safety, which means, of course, that there has to be traceability in what we do as an organization. So these are just examples of what could trigger traceability coming in. At the regulation level, I think, government still needs to do a lot to cater to what's happening at the farm level, compared to, just focusing on what's happening after the produce or the raw material now gets to the point of processing. Now, the reason why we're here today, I think you've all mentioned this, and that's why I said, okay, I think I should just pack my load and just go. You've talked about transparency across, every link in the supply chain. Also, as I think Mary alluded to, there has to be clear communication with customers, and I'm adding now with authorities and partners in the business. So again, for compliance issue, you have to ensure that there is information that can be referenced at any point in time. And with written records, you can always provide the proof that, yes, you have done this at this certain stage. It also ensures production history. With your record intact, with the traceability intact, you can, be able to reference those information to even build your business. Wherever you see that there are anomalies, or that there have been mistakes in the past and you're able to trace it, what it means is, okay, well, let me move back. I'm having blocking points at the point of, let's say, logistics. Am I going to change my logistics provider, or am I going to, have to support him or her in any way to ensure that this bottleneck, is taken care of and produce can flow easily. So it also enables audits and improve communication among stakeholders. So these are the importance of food. It is not exhaustive, of course, of food safety generally when it comes to traceability, of course, when it comes to food safety. Now, yes, we've talked about the concept. Now let's look at it holistically. It's a system. You have to put it together in such a way that you can now relate with it as set of activities that you put together. And when you do that, what it means is that you are setting up a traceability system. By definition, is just, a traceability system is a system integrated in a production structure. It could be on the farm, it could be at the pack house, it could be at the processing facility, it could be anywhere, but you just have that structure put in place to ensure that it is possible to trace an entity at any point in time so that you avoid or you are able to follow risk and the quality of your produce as it is coming from the origin. You remember what comes in as input to you is output from someone else. And what comes in as output for you can be or is input or could be input for someone else. So at any point in time, there's this change that has to be monitored. So again, there are four things you need to consider. Hold on. First of all, let me reduce. Okay, yeah. You have to identify the products. In our own case now as farmers, we are talking about fields. We are talking about sections that we may have demarcated in our production. You have a 1 acre farm. You have divided it into segments. Yes, you are growing tomato, but you are not growing the tomatoes at the same time. And even if you are growing them at the same time, you have section A, section B, section C that you are going to harvest from, or quadrant A, quadrant B, as you choose, you name it. This becomes a reference point for you when you are harvesting. So now you've harvested, you want to move on to the next stage, managing links. Record the links between the successive operations. After harvesting, what comes next? What activities do you engage in? What records do you collect? And how do you communicate this information as it is moving from one point to another? We will do an exercise that, can put more light into the conversation. So this does not sound very, very academic. Again, 4 major steps. Sorry. Product identification by badge, plots, area, depending on different terms for different processes that you are engaged in. Management of the links between this operation, you have to take that into consideration, and then recording and then communicating the information as it flows from one point to another. So let's do something practical now. Let's assume we are in Mary Farms in Abuja, and this is what they do in their farm. Of course, they have a point where they take in input from, let's say, seed companies. They have input feeding into their operation. And they plant, they grow, they do spraying, they harvest, they transport. They also, of course, sort and then pack and then send to warehouse. Now, I want you on the chart to tell me what can serve as input for step 1? Just put it on the chart. What can serve as input for step 1? Just drop it on the chart. For this process, reception and warehousing. Or let's just say, okay, what comes in to feed into the operation of planting and spreading? What do you need? Are we together? Can you hear me? Fantastic. Judith says seeds. Yes. What else? Fertilizer, seeds. Fantastic. Cheetah B. How are you doing, Cheetah? S. Pesticide. Good. Water. All right. Manpower. Fantastic. All right. Thank you. So, good. You get the idea. What can be, okay, machinery. Okay, good. So let me just click. So these are some of the things that you will get. Inputs will be seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, water. Have you seen this presentation before? Water, packaging materials, shades, and the like. That's what comes in as input. That now moves from point A to point B. So you are now at point B. What do you need? You utilize the seeds, you do spraying, you do your irrigation, and then you have the field. All of these things goes inside the field and then comes out as output. All right. So you are now on activity 3. You see the flow as it is going. So you are now harvesting, transporting, and warehousing. So to harvest, you have to go to a particular plot or a particular field to harvest. What comes as outputs are the products that you harvest from these different plots or field numbers as you would have put them in place. Now, at the sorting and packing, the product moves there, still with the information. Oh, don't forget that. It is still with the information. The information is still flowing on what was harvested in the field, the quantity. And when we are talking about seeds, we'll be talking about the variety. All of this information are still supposed to flow. Don't worry, you may consider it as complex. Don't when we get to an exercise, you see how this flow really or why it matters. And then you now talk about your when you are now talking about warehousing and shipping, the packaged products and then the outputs now put on pellets for shipment. The information you have from activity 1 flows into activity 2. Information from activity 2 with information from activity 1 flows into activity 3, and it goes on and on and on and on. This is how you establish a traceability system throughout the value chain. But at least now we are talking about what's happening at the production level. Are we clear? Is this flowing? Just give me a no, let me know. Okay, fantastic, good. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Juliet. Justice. Fantastic. So let's do a small exercise. Activity 2, let's bring it out. Okay, what's happening at activity 2? We have plant seeds or seedlings, apply fertilizer, pesticides, manure, or compost. Who is responsible for it? Is the production manager. In this case, this is an example. Oh. It can be your farm supervisor. It can be you that is responsible for this on your farm. But the idea is to get, what's actually happening at this stage. So you indicate the production manager is responsible for it. So if anything goes wrong at any point in time where you have someone that is responsible you can always hold someone responsible for it. That's the idea. Well, I won't say that's the idea, but then, that's part of the process. Now, what does this person do? He or she records the seed batch number, the planting date, the product, and the variety per field block. Remember, you are now planting, you've identified your batch, your planting area or your field at that particular point. So everything that goes inside is recorded as, okay, this is what is being planted. Now, he also or she also updates the inventory, cross off pesticides that has been taken out from storage. So automatically, well, I won't say automatically, you have an idea of what is left in the inventory, what has been used, and what is remaining. Again, this process actually, if you look at it deeply, also helps you as a farmer to ensure that you are more productive. You know what is going into your farm in terms of cost, what is also coming out in terms of the efforts that are being put to get. You can always quantify that. This again, to a certain level, will minimize theft. So these are the side advantages that you also must put in place when you are doing all of these things. All right, these are his responsibility. He crosses off the pesticide that has been used and then log the inputs per field, including the type of input, quantity applied, date and location of the application, and name of the applicator if he is not the person applying it. And ideally, he should not be the person applying it. Since he is the manager, there has to be someone at the lower cadre that actually carries this out. Of course, it can be different for different farms, but this is generally the idea. You can have one person doing all of this role. It can be you doing all of this role. That means you have to hold yourself responsible at any point in time for the success or failure of your own farm. Now, do you understand this? We are building the traceability system. Oh. I hope you know that. This is what it looks like. So first of all, again, let me move back maybe one or two slides. Yes, I'm sorry. Identify the products, manage the links. That's where you see the flow. Record the data, which we are doing, and communicate information flow with product flow. All of these things that I mentioned now is what we just did here. Is this clear? It does not have to be complicated on your own farm. No. You do it as it suits you and based on the resources that you have. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. So again, let's quickly move to another example so that we have this embedded right inside of us. Okay, I think let me take another activity. Let's take activity 3. All right. Let's take activity 3, harvesting, transport, and warehousing. What comes in as input is the field number. Output will be the product harvested in plastic containers or raffia basket, as the case may be. Whatever it is, you have to document it. So the description: collect, move, and store harvested produce. Who is responsible? Production manager. This is an example. It can be, anyone you assign to the job on your farm or in your production facility. It can also be you. The fact that it is you does not mean you must not document it. You must document it and put your name against it. That, okay, I am the person that is responsible for this one, and these are the things that I am supposed to do. So what is, let's say, what is Sita B supposed to do? Let's assume she's the production manager here now, taking on activity 3. She's supposed to collect clean containers from the container store and deliver it to the field. During the harvest, she fills the form She fills a form with the product variety, harvest date, amount harvested, the field or block area where it was harvested from, and the name of the harvester if she's not the one harvesting. And even if she's the one harvesting, she will put her name there. So this form is signed, dated, and filled in by the production manager's office. It could be the production, she could be the person filling it, or a higher authority that will do that to, cross-check that yes, she has done what she's supposed to do. You see now that there is, there is there's control of some sort. So the next thing would be the farm supervisor delivers the harvest to a cold storage if a cold storage is involved, and labels each container with the field number and harvested date and batch number format, so as you choose. I think this is simple enough. Simple enough. It's just taking the time to just put the process together that really matters. And once you have done it once, you have done it once. You can only go back to review if there are it needs improvement, or you need to add one more thing based on business need or even compliance. All right. Are we together? I don't want us to take so much of our time. So these are example of data that you would actually or would have collected along the process. So your fertilizer now coming in as input, you have the operator's name, the field block number, the quantity that it was used for, the form to be completed, manure, pesticide, blah blah blah. You have all of this information. And for harvesting, this is what it comes out to be. You can have a label. This is the label for a plot. You can see the block ID, the block number, block, I think 1B, the variety that was planted, the date that was planted, the date that is to be harvested, the area, and then the field. What is this? I think field. I don't see this last one. And this information goes straight into the crates. It may not be physically attached to the crate, but you have that information that this set of crates that are going has and so information. So this is what it looks like. We will delve more into this when we get to talking about farm record. But you see the relevance here already. Now, traceability tools. The choice of the tool to use depends on you, how simple your system is or how complicated your system is, and what you aim to achieve. What is very popular is actually the paper-based system where you have maybe a farm book or so, or sheets where you input this information. There could be sheets that is dedicated for input, sheets that is dedicated for let's say sorry, within that context you can have a space for pesticide, a space for seeds, seedlings, things that come into your farm. And you also have harvest record. And when we get to I think maybe Thursday or Saturday or so, we will delve deep into that. It could also be digitalized for bigger farms that have more stricter compliance that they have to go through, maybe because of the business type of business that is service, particularly for exports. You understand? So there are tools that can enable all of this paperwork can just be scanning a barcode and all of the information are provided. So it is possible. All right, people are already doing it. And then it could be a combination of the two, paper record and also digital platform, which is what we do in our own organization for now. That's a Iveco Aggregate. It's a supply chain platform that allows farmers to actually be able to even monitor what they are doing on their farm. That platform exists. We are trying to put one or two things in place to ensure that it's easy for farmers to use. They don't need to go and buy any app but they just need to provide their information and be able to monitor what's happening on their farm, and even as their produce moves from one point to another. That's if it is within our system. So I think that's all from my side. Um, if you have questions, remarks, please feel free. Yes, back to you, moderator.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Thank you so much. Well done, sir, Mr. Sahid. You have given us a very, very in-depth knowledge about traceability. And I can see some hands up already. I'm sure that students have questions because this is a bit technical. How to be able to tell where a product comes from in simple terms. Even if you go to ShopRite to buy an apple, traceability helps you know where the apple came from. So you eat that apple and you have food poisoning, you should be able to trace it, you should be able to tell, and we should quickly be able to track. There was a time they said Indomie was causing death, and immediately a press release was sent out that a batch of Indomie was able to be retracted. That was because big companies are able to trace they produce in batches, and by the time they have a problem, they can tell which batch had a problem and they can tell what the problem was. And today, as both small and intending big farmers, we have learned how to also achieve food traceability, which is one of the few things that have been keeping you from scaling up. You are not able to export. You are not able to sell to bigger markets just because your produces are untraceable. I'm sure that after today, you will be legible and you will be fit to sell to bigger markets. So we'll be taking questions now, very few questions. When you have the floor, please tell us where you're calling from or where you're listening from, and then go ahead to ask your question, and then you can also say a word of appreciation. That is, if you appreciate the lecturer. Let's go, Mr. Alozie David, you have 1 minute. You can unmute, you've been asked to unmute.
Hello, good evening, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, Alozie, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I want to thank Doctor for the class. I really appreciate it. Really an eye-opener. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you. Now, my question happens to go to the rural farmers who are into large production. Like, is there any resemblance of traceability system, or how can we track if they have a traceability systems? Because I believe that most of all the produce come from all these illiterate rural farmers, and most of the time we find it difficult to know if they have the system in place. So I want to ask if they have it in place or resemblance of traceability system.
All right. Can I quickly respond to that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So rural farmers or farmers generally, sorry. Sorry about the background noise. So traceability, yes, it appears to be a big English, but then it can be broken down to the level of any farmer. Simply put, is just taking records in any form that is suitable for them and can be understood by the person collecting the information. I've been in trainings where it is the local idea that they have that we work on. Let's say, for instance, now, in supermarkets and the likes, what they talk about is kg. But when you get to the farms, you want to harvest. Rural farmer will talk about baskets or pin buckets or things like that. But we know the equivalent or conversion of that pin bucket to kg. So we don't speak to them in kg. We speak to them in pin buckets or baskets that they are aware of. So in their record book, in the design of the record book or information collection data that we give to them or that will be with them, it will be paint, paint bucket or basket that is going to be replicated there. Can they read or write? If they cannot read, there has to be, all right, there has to be someone within that system that can collect the information on their behalf and make it available. For you, I'm suspecting that you are a business that works with farmers. What you would have to do as responsibility or as your responsibility is to ensure that this kind of system that is peculiar to their own need is created for them. So it is something simple, sheets that are created where they can document what they are doing. Before they get to that point, you or the persons involved would have helped them to set up that system right from the point where they are planting. Okay, Oga Farmer, if you want to plant, this is how we feel it's best you mark your production so that it is easy to know what is harvested from this area. A simple labeling can help them out. A simple identification mark can help them out to know that, okay, this is the area that we have harvested from. These farmers have local knowledge that is even more, that can even be more sophisticated than the paper that we're using. They have this knowledge. The idea is just to connect with them at where they are and just use this model to bring out the information. The idea is bringing out the information from them. You get my point? So based on where you meet the farmer is what you apply to them. It has to
All right.
be
Thank
a
you, sir.
conversation between you and them.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We'll move on quite quickly. Our time is fast spent. We'll move on quite quickly. Yusuf Yelewa, you've been asked to unmute. You can speak. Attendance is in the chat box. Yusuf Yalewa, you've been asked to unmute and speak. Attendance is in the chat box. Please go to the chat box of Zoom and fill your attendance. Yusuf Yalewa, are you here? If you cannot speak, we move on to the next person. Adeyemi Fatimo, speak, please.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much for that class. I so much appreciate you. And I want to appreciate the Eweko farm to at large, because I attended one of the program that was held at Araga, Lagos State Institute at Ekpe, and it was really, really educating. So my question is, how do we maintain traceability when we are collecting produce from another farm to our own farm? Do you get my question?
So yes, I do. It's still the same concept. You have to put this in your system to be able to let the farms, sorry, let the farms know what you are requesting for. Traceability can be something as simple as asking them, when did you observe the PHI? What variety of, let's say, sweet corn did you plant? When are you supposed to harvest? What quantity are you supposed to harvest? So information that is vital to you is what you present to them so that at the point of supplying you, they are supplying you with information that you need. That in itself is a form of traceability. So if something, let's say you are collecting from 2, 3, 4 farmers now, even the way they package what they are sending to you, there has to be some kind of label or identification. It can be something as simple as, okay, when you are packing your sweet corn, please ensure you put a mark on the sweet corn to indicate that this produce is coming from you. So I know there are 10 bags here. The yellow ones that are labeled EW is from Iweko. The other one that are labeled AF is from Adeyemi Fatimo's farm. Another one labeled D is from Oga David's farm. Traceability is not something complicated, and it is based on what you as a business require from your suppliers. So if a farmer, for the sake of, okay, wants better products, does grading and all of those things, and his or her produce is moved alongside other ones, she would want to identify her produce with a certain what's it called now? Something different that will let people know that this is coming from my farm. That's traceability. So it can be a request from the aggregator. It can be a request from the customer if they are selling directly. It can also be something that the farmer wants to do to separate his or her produce from the batch so that it's more quality and they can trace the quality back to her. We've had cases where we supplied and the person that we supplied to tells us that, oh, the person that, the person, because our customers know that we aggregate, the person that brought in this sack in yellow sack is the person I want to be collecting from. I want you to be collecting from consistently because they have seen the quality and they've been able to identify from the lot that, okay, this guy is doing better. So it's not something technical. It is as defined by you in this instance to that farmer. It could be written, it could be verbal, but it has to be confirmed.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we'll take one last question. Shafa Salma. Shafa Salma, please, you have been asked to unmute and speak. Attendance is in the chat box on YouTube and on Zoom. Please fill your attendance. The chat box on YouTube and Zoom, the attendance is there. Shafa Salma, are you here? Can you unmute and speak? Okay, if Shafa Salma is not here, Justice Cletus, you have spoken today, so I will not be asking you a question, but I will be asking you to appreciate the facilitator on behalf of the students. Those that spoke forgot to tell us where they are talking from. So Justice Cletus, tell us where you're listening from, and then appreciate the facilitator. Not a question. We are rounding up now. Please appreciate the facilitator.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. On behalf of all participants, want to commend your effort and all of us who are participants. By the grace of God, this knowledge gain shall never go in vain. We appreciate the convener that is growth for sustainable agriculture. We appreciate the time given and the opportunity for us to all listen to this life-changing program. Indeed, we appreciate you and continue to hope that we are going to meet with you again for another wonderful package of this nature. Thank you very much, Justice Cletus from Kaduna State.
Thank you from Kaduna State, Justice Cletus. Shafa, you are ready to speak now, please. We will not take your question again, but appreciate the facilitator in 30 seconds. Tell us where you're calling from. You've been asked to speak. Shafa Salma, you can speak now.
Hello.
Unmute and speak.
Yes, thank you so much. My name is Ambassador Shafa Salma, speaking from Adamawa State. We really want to appreciate the facilitator. Indeed, it is an eye-opener for today's topic, importance of food traceability. And we pray that may God continue to increase her and our great Gasai. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. That will be all. Thank you, Mr. Sahid Adams, for taking out the time, and he will be here next week, Saturday, next week, in the next class, not next week, in the next class on Saturday, to talk to us about record keeping. I want to quickly make some announcements. We have some people that have actually paid for their certificates but have not filled. Please don't come to my DM to tell me you've paid for certificates. Certificates, please fill the certificate request form as it is in the instructions that are sent on your WhatsApp group. Please, this class is free of charge. The training material for today's training and yesterday's training will be sent to your WhatsApp groups, to the WhatsApp group, free of charge. Please let us be guided. Only those that request special certificates or certificates do pay a token. I also want to appreciate our facilitator, and then I also want to inform us of the Nigerian Farmers Town Hall Summit that will be coming up on the 28th of June. For those, it will be hybrid. For those of you that cannot make it to Abuja, we will share the live stream and you can watch online, while those that will be present in Abuja can attend physically. The registration form will soon open. It is free to attend is free, but you have to register online. I think that is all the information. Please, if you have paid for your certificate, fill the request form. Do not come to my DM and inform me. That will not matter. Please fill your request form. Those of you that fill the form and then we could not trace your payment, please send us. Some people used like a POS or their business account to make transfers, and we could not trace their names. So we reach out to you. Please respond to our email and let us identify you. Thank you so much, everybody. And the class will soon be calling. This is class 11, so we have just 5 classes remaining. And in the subsequent classes, we will be talking about those that will be getting the support to carry out the step-down training in their community. We will be talking about those that will be getting the support to carry out the step-down training in their community. The sponsor for that, we are yet to finalize. Once we finalize, we will talk about how we are going to select, because it definitely will not be everybody. We'll select those participants that have been very active and are willing. So there's going to be a set of criteria. Once our partners are ready, we will share the criteria with you, how to do the step-down training in your community. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you come to the DM of any of the admins and ask the question. Thank you, and see you on Saturday.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day or evening. Thank you.
Mr. Saheed, I'll see you in the DM. Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Later.